Hello, good afternoon. How are you? I'm Casey Durango of Go Keto with Casey, where I like to talk about how I've lost 97.4 pounds since starting the Ketogenic Protocol, how you may be able to lose weight, improve your health, and regain control of your life. Thank you for allowing me to be part of your day. Before I get going, a couple of little housekeeping issues. The last two public live streams on YouTube have had technical issues, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. I do videos on a lot of platforms, and lately YouTube has been the only one that has given me issues during a live stream. Anywho, if you can please let me know that you can see and hear me, that would be great. And also, FYI, my dog is waiting by the big windows over there, waiting for my lovely mate to return. And if my husband pulls up into the driveway in his big red truck, my dog will bark loudly. I will mute my microphone, but that is what happens, and I never know when he's going to pull up. Okay, so today's topic is, lose weight, improve your health, regain control of your life. Today is about the health piece. There has never been a better time to do that which makes us the healthiest. Now, over the decades, there have been conflicting recommendations about what healthy eating is, what clean eating. I never know what that is. I ate clean for 6 months. Okay, I'm glad you're not eating dirty food. But what does that mean? And for those of you who don't know, the ketogenic protocol is one whereby you reduce your carbohydrate intake to a point where your liver no longer pushes out glucose for fuel. Glucose is sugar. And our bodies, when that glucose tap is turned off, happily switches to burning ketones or fat for fuel. It's a very elegant and efficient way to fuel our bodies. How do we do that? Keep the carbs low. Lay off the carbs, essentially. There is no minimum requirement for carbohydrate in our diet. Carbohydrate is not an essential macronutrient. Fat and protein are both essential, meaning we must consume them because our bodies can't create the amino acids which are required for cell production, cell life, cell reparation, and everything else. Okay, so what does this have to do with health, and why did the headline say if not now, when? There is growing evidence that the dreaded COVID-19, when people get it, their outcomes can be more severe or very bad in those people who have some underlying conditions: obesity, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and cancer. Cancer kind of makes sense. You say, okay, well, cancer makes sense because cancer is scary and screws up our bodies. And as someone who's been down that road 3 times, I can say, yeah, it's scary. But why obesity and type 2 diabetes and high blood? Those are metabolic conditions. Our metabolic system is not just how fast we burn fuel. We think, oh, my metabolism is slowed down. It is our cardiovascular system. Cardio for heart, vascular for all the blood vessels and everything else. We need our lungs to be pumping and replenishing air, and particularly with COVID. We need to not have our bodies already inflamed, fighting these underlying chronic conditions. They're issues of inflammation. It can all go back to inflammation. So why does that matter? Imagine this. Pick any metaphor you like. The little Dutch boy putting his fingers in the dike, trying to stop the sea. And eventually the dam breaks. But everyone's attention has been on these little tiny fissures and ignoring the big crack. Tiny little controlled burns to help manage a forest. And when those don't happen, you have a forest fire. You get your eye off the ball and the forest fire comes. Our bodies are the same way. If our bodies have been now chronically, and we may not even know that it's going on, keep in mind, you can have high blood sugar, or you can have hyperinsulinemia. Your insulin can be working very hard to keep your blood sugar as low as possible. So you may not realize that you have a blood sugar issue because your internal insulin from the pancreas has been moderating it. You've been medicated just from the inside. But if your body is working really hard to manage these things, there are only so many resources. And then a unique coronavirus comes along and is very opportunistic and finds all the weak spots in the dike. This is way beyond wanting to look cute in our clothes. This is way beyond what the scale says. And by the way, if the scale upsets you, don't get on it. Follow the protocol. Keep your carbs 20 grams or fewer a day. Total, not net. If it's not on page 4, link below, don't eat it. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Stop when you're satiated. That is the sum total of the protocol. It's no more complicated than that. We might want it to be complicated so that we have an excuse not to do it. I just couldn't get it. I didn't understand it, or I didn't have time to do all the research. You don't need to do all the research. The people who laid out the protocol have done the research for you. But this is not about the scale or looking cute or trying to get back to your weight when you got married, or teaching your former spouse a thing or two. Say, hey, see how good I look now? You should have stuck with me. It's not about that. We need to get type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity. We need to protect ourselves from those things to make us as not vulnerable to not just to COVID, but all sorts of things. When our bodies are weakened because our defenses are spread all over the place when they shouldn't be. You can become more susceptible to upper respiratory infections just on a normal basis, to migraine, to stomach upset, because your body's busy trying to deal with high blood pressure, high blood sugar, obesity, inflammation. So we need to not play anymore. We need to not play. We need to step away from the shallow part of wanting to do keto or whatever protocol it is that you do. If it works for you, great. If Weight Watchers is effective for you, fantastic. If you're healthy and feel good, now keep in mind, you can be thin and not healthy at all. You can be quite unhealthy and very thin. So it's not just about weight. But if you're healthy and happy on Weight Watchers, or on doing what the Biggest Loser did, or just getting to the gym 6 days a week and, move more, eat less, whatever works for you. For me, and I was morbidly obese for 30 years, from my mid-20s to my mid-50s. I started this on January 8, 2014, so coming up on 7 years. At age 55, I had given up on losing weight. I just didn't want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes. And I knew that was in my future. So I Googled how to not take insulin for type 2 diabetes. A couple of clicks, and I come across the white coat video of Dr. Eric Westman from Duke University. And that changed everything. As I've often said to him and in front of him, I don't know whether it was his calm approach or his boyish good looks, but that message resonated with me. And I started that day, and I never looked back, have not looked back. I knew that low carb worked for me since 1977. I wasn't serious enough to get real about my health before it had all been about how fat I looked and how embarrassed I was and what a failure I felt like. But boy, howdy, I didn't want to take insulin for type 2 diabetes. That was a road too far. Excuse me, I need to make an adjustment. Nope, can't. Okay. But when I got serious about my health, and I made that the focus, the weight loss came as an added benefit. 97.4 pounds. I'm 5'1". That's a lot of weight on a puny frame. But in all honesty, we can't fool ourselves anymore. We can't tell ourselves what we want to hear. We need to be real with ourselves. We need to be honest with ourselves. My patrons, and I assume there are some patrons here. I haven't looked at the, oh, please. Some patrons here. I will give a quick plug for Patreon. I have a private support group at patreon.com/GoKeto with Casey, link below, where I do 20 videos a month for patrons only, first thing in the morning. Then I have about 5 or 6 patron-only live streams on Crowdcast a month, and 5 or 6 patron-only video group sessions on Zoom a month, and then one-on-ones with me, depending on your pledge level. But patrons will know that I've been kind of on my 600-pound life kick, not because I enjoy seeing the sadness and the trauma of people, because I hadn't seen it in a long time. And it came up in my Hulu stream. I don't watch this. What has struck me is the things that I don't know what the patients, I guess they call them stars, the patients on this show, the things that they tell themselves and tell Dr. Nowzaradan are the same things we have told ourselves. They just have had a much worse result, and they are more hammered in on it. They make the same excuses for themselves as we have made for ourselves. And while we might want to be screaming at the television, there are those of us, including me, who said, I've been working so hard, I deserve this pizza. Yeah, well, that's so logical, right? Or I don't have time to diet. My life is so busy now. You don't have time to not eat carbs? You don't have time to not eat carbs. So we tell ourselves the same things they tell themselves. They just have a much worse outcome. So we've got to stop doing that. We have to get real with ourselves. Quick plug for a calendar, Go Keto with Casey calendar. I sent out a whole bunch over the last 2 weeks. There's my dog, Jack. There's me. There's my cuckoo. But one of the months says, it's a little thing, it says, be kind to yourself. Be firm with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And just like the don't eat if you're not hungry is the hardest part of the protocol, being honest with ourselves is the hardest part of that. Who wants to be honest with yourself? We want to tell ourselves, yes, but I really got stressed out, so I ate. Okay, well, did the eating resolve the issue about which you were stressed? And even to the point of being in mourning. I hear this often from people. I was doing great, and then so-and-so passed away, and I just started eating. I'm going to, say something sounds harsh. The person is still gone. And now you've done yourself no favors. I wish my mother was alive so she could see the difference in me. The last time she saw me, I was morbidly obese. So think about it. If you've lost someone, would that person want you to turn to food? Or fill in the blank. Would that person want you to turn to alcohol to excess, to prescription medications to excess, to going to Las Vegas and gambling away your mortgage? Food is just like one of those things. It doesn't solve anything other than hunger. But there's never been a better time to get healthy. This is no joke. It is no joke. There's much in our life that is way beyond our control. Almost everything in life is out of our control, except what we put in our mouths. We may not want to take ownership of that, but what we put in our mouths is within our control. People say, I'm addicted to X. I'm addicted to, we all are. But even if you have a physical addiction, which I don't know, what do you tell an addict? What is the course of action for an addict who wants to get off that substance? Stop using the substance. So we can tell ourselves we're addicted. That does not get us off the hook of controlling what we do, what we put in our mouths. And we must stay healthy. And even if you don't care for yourself, there are people who say, I'll keep taking the insulin. I'll inject myself with insulin, but I'm not giving up cake. Okay. Weird kind of approach, weird priority. But you know how selfish that is? Because you're not avoiding taking care of yourself. You're just offloading it to somebody else. When you are hospitalized or lose a foot or your eyesight fails or your kidneys fail based on eating food that does not serve you, you're just transferring responsibility to somebody else who does care about you. Again, sounds kind of harsh. But my husband loves me, and I love my husband. And we've been through some things together, and we will be through some things together. And tomorrow is promised to no one, and people's health can take a turn for an unknown reason. But I would not want to think of my husband having to be my nursemaid because I refuse to give up tortilla chips and pizza. We have to be honest with ourselves. And we have to make our bodies as strong as we can. And the easiest, simplest, most direct way to do that is lay off the carbs. It sounds too good to be true. It's the truth. Lay off the carbs. Nothing fancy. You don't need to buy kits or electrolyte drinks or powders or special supplements, exogenous ketones, none of that. Lay off the carbs. Lay off the carbs. It'll be okay. We can do without them. And I made all the excuses and all the jokes, trying to glide past the fact that I was eating terrible food for me. Not all the time. I mean, it seemed like healthy food with crap thrown on top. I would joke, oh, M&Ms, they're medicinal. They're in pill form. Oh, cookies, you break them in half, all the calories fall out. Stupid. It wasn't so funny. It's all fun and games until you're 100 pounds overweight and you have to go on insulin for diabetes. I am going to now turn my attention to comments. Thank you, those of you who are here. A lot of people are talking, which is always great. Kim writes, it's so true, Casey. We need to be strong and healthy as much as possible. And so how do we do that? Well, you do the things that we know. We try to breathe, get enough sleep, move a little bit, deal with anxiety as much as possible, breathe, and lay off the carbs. At least if you're following the ketogenic protocol. Again, something else might be great for somebody else. For me, this is the only thing that has worked. Slow Carb Girl says, sugar is a drug that numbs feelings, including grief. It doesn't numb any. It might numb it, but anything could do that. And as long as you keep numbing things, the pain just remains. I understand what you're saying. People say, I use food to cope. Oh, no. You're using food to not cope. And excuse me, make sure it's not my husband. Nope. Using food to not cope. So how does that help? You're just kicking the issue down the road. At some point, if you are numb, you wake up and the problem is still there. And now you've put on 8 pounds. Kim Schmidt writes, be kind to yourself. I see young, pregnant, beautiful moms who are my patients daily. Many are obese in their 20s and 30s. It's epidemic. I tell them about keto. Very good for you. Hey, Michelle. Hello, darling. Sheila, I like that comment you retracted. Self-talk helps. Okay, I'm not sure I will let. And I'm so grateful to people who help police this stream. Linda Bridges writes, wow, love what you were saying. Thank you. Christina Polishchik, hello. Let me see. I talked about the calendar. You know, you don't need a calendar to be 100% successful at this either. I was not going to do calendars this year. I think this is the 4th year I've done them. And I was advised that some people wanted them. I ordered fewer this year than I have in previous years, so they're going to go out fast. And here's a shirt. I C and IW. I can and I will go keto with Casey from my Teespring shop, which is below. I like this because I designed this and I bought it. I buy stuff from my Teespring. So if I have it, I bought it. It's subtle. It's not, putting what you're doing, on full blast. It can just be a reminder to yourself. Hey, Linda, member of the Go Keto with Casey YouTube club. That was so profound when you said, do you want your mate to take care of you just because you couldn't resist a huge piece of chocolate cake? Makes you think. And there are people that, have said to me, you do what you want, but I am happy to take my insulin. It's like smokers who are on oxygen for COPD or emphysema. And they're going to keep smoking. That is everyone's choice. But what about and I have seen my family members ignore diagnoses. And then there you go. Yeah, Michelle writes, thank you for doing the calendar. You're welcome, my good friend, Michelle. And I apologize for not having been in all the comments. Saying good morning. I'm scrolling back up. Chili Buffalo. It's chilly today and had some in front of the fire. Tracking day today. I choose to get off caffeine. Water is the drink now. How much water do you drink? Do you think is too much? Okay. Per Dr. Westman, he doesn't prescribe an amount of water. If you're thirsty, drink. If you're not thirsty, don't drink. It kind of self-regulates. If you like it now, okay. Hashtag Casey's pink drink. Matches my top. Tall glass of ice, diet tonic water, a tiny splash of diet cranberry, and a squeeze of lime. It helps when I'm talking. I drink throughout the day. I start my day throughout the morning. Usually it's done by noon. 3 cups of coffee with 2 teaspoons each of heavy whipping cream and some Splenda. And then about noon, usually, I switch over to something else. It'll be water, Crystal Light, diet ginger ale, doesn't matter. And then I just kind of drink throughout the day, but I've never really calculated it, to tell you the truth. Okay, and I'm looking to see. Cheers, Kim. Oh my God, I just realized today's Halloween. October is over already. I know, right? Time flies when you're alive, which is another good thing. Reminder. This is the day, October 31st, when some people with the best of intentions fall off the wagon. Nobody needs candy. If the little kids are going to give candy to the little kids, oh well, they don't need it either. But don't eat the candy. Don't eat the candy. Don't say just one little piece. Another thing I would joke about. My kids were doing Halloween, 3 grown children, but they were young ones. A long time ago. Quality control. I'm just going to make sure the candy's okay for you. And then I would parcel some for me. And then, from here, it's, the next big food holiday, which we may not be able to celebrate as we usually have done. We're going to have to deal with that. Again, eating to cope with it will not cope with it. We just have to deal with it. Let's not numb ourselves with food. I wanted you to say that a lot. I numb myself with food. Is that logical or healthy? If you said, I numb myself with heroin. Oh, well, okay then. I understand. You're numbing yourself. Hey, Stacy, let me see. Hi, how do you feel about Splenda? Everyone keeps telling me it's killing. They tell me that too. We buy Splenda in the giant bags. The sugar industry has done an excellent job of demonizing every sweetener that is not sugar. And they say, who's they? No, I have no problem with sucralose. Dr. Westman says, that stuff is all a big distraction. That's what we use because we tried other ones. My husband and I both independently said, yeah, it has a really bitter aftertaste. But we don't have a lot of fake baked goods. We put it in our coffee. My husband can tolerate almond cookies that I make out of ground almonds, coconut oil, an egg, a pinch of salt, a little bit of vanilla extract, and a bit of Splenda. They're not overly sweet. We use it in that. I drink Coke Zero, which has aspartame. I guess that'll kill me too. But let me tell you what, I've been using non-sugar sweetener since it existed. So my entire life, I've never used sugar. Well, I never used sugar in my stuff. I always used non-sugar sweeteners in my coffee and things like that. I ate sweet things before but I'm 62. I've been drinking it all my life or using it. I have no, but people need to do what their comfort level tells them to do. Heather Silva, hey, remember, we fall back on an hour. Yes, good reminder. We all gain an hour. We wake up so early around here already. My husband, even earlier than I. He will probably be awaking. When he wakes up tomorrow morning, it'll still be yesterday, meaning today. Barbel W. I am almost 2 years in keto with no cheats. You were the first senior who inspired me into success. I'm 67 and I have 25-year history of bulimia. This works. Well, congratulations on overcoming that. I guess I am a senior citizen. Am I? I don't know what the age. I don't feel like one. It always kind of startles me when people refer to me as that because I don't feel like one. I did when I was in my 50s. Michelle writes, yes, Heather, I look forward to more evening daylight for a little while. Pooh Bear's beautiful goddess writes, last week I tried an N of 1 experiment and added in carbs just to see if I can handle them. Guess what? Bad idea. Yeah. To me, that's always like, I'm going to do an N of 1 experiment. If I'm at a Mexican restaurant, they bring out the fajitas and the guy's got oven mitts on and he says, this is a very hot plate. I could do an experiment to see, is it really hot? And will I get burned? Yeah. I will not be trying that anytime. Stacy replies, yes, thank you. I just use it for my coffee. Michelle writes, Pooh Bear, head stuck in the honey pot. Christina Polish Chick, I have a blood glucose response no matter what artificial sweetener I use. And some people do. Some people report that non-sugar sweeteners trigger cravings for sweets. So you find out what works for you. One person breaks out in hives. Jim Fannin writes, Splenda and erythritol together makes it taste better. And Pooh Bear is beautiful. Michelle, LOL. Hey, Gels, mommy. Oh, thank you. She writes, looking beautiful as always. Well, thank you. Lighting, camera angle, makeup, they all help. But thank you very much. Hey, Luke. Say hey to Luke. Luke is Gels' mommy's son. She homeschools. So when we have live streams during the day, sometimes he's in the background. So I have to watch my language. Oh, and tonight, Gels' mommy. How many candy bars did you put in? Full-sized candy bars. So Gels' mommy, they lay in full-sized candy bars of many varieties, and they purchase them by the hundreds. They consider it homeowners' window insurance. Apparently, in her neck of the woods, in her very nice neighborhood, you better be giving out the treats or there's going to be an issue. Seems like the conversation has slowed down. Am I missing something? Are we still connected? I hope so. That screensaver is Trey Cool. Oh, thank you. It's an app on our television. It's called an ambient mode, and there are all these different ones you can do. Yeah, it's got like little mirrors going like that. Linda Nelson, And you can see she's part of the club because her name is in green. And now she's been a member so long, has an avocado. She started out as a cup of coffee, then it went to cheddar cheese, and now it's avocado. I have to pat myself on the back. Cleaned out the pantry and got rid of all sugar products and wheat flour and rice. Gave it to a skinny friend who is a great cook. Congratulations. Jell's mommy writes, usually 600 candy bars, but the virus is rampant here, so we're not doing it. Yikes. Pray for my windows. Oh my goodness. So from 600, didn't you have 900 one year? To 0. Yes, good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Yeah, you're in the UP. Things are tough. Everyone needs to stay safe. Just like this protocol is simple. Lay off the carbs and don't eat if you're not hungry, and stop when you're satiated, not stop when you're stuffed. We all eat more food than we need. Almost everybody. We just eat more food than we need. We eat more than we think we do. And I'm not saying vast quantities. We probably just, even if we've cut way, way back from what we used to do, it's probably still too much. Anywho, lay off the carbs, don't eat if you're not hungry, is a very simple solution to a scary problem. Wear a mask, wash your hands, and keep physical distance. Very simple solution to a very scary problem. Michelle writes, Jell's mommy is Stacy? Yes, indeed. They are patrons, and this is the great thing about the Patreon group. Let me tell you what. It is a support group, and we get to know each other's stories. There are people from literally all over the world who are part of this support group. And we almost never talk about the food. The food is, we talk about the challenges. We talk about the stressors. We talk about what do you do when you have a rotten day? Oh, and there's also, patrons can become a member of a private, hidden, patron-only Facebook group, a Go Keto with Casey Patreon-only Facebook group. Post pictures of each other. It's great. Suzanne Rapp. Yes, everyone responds differently to sweeteners. Splenda has dextrose and maltodextrin, which spikes my blood glucose. I'm okay with sucralose. So there you go. And see, there's not one solution for everyone. It's illogical to think that there would be, right? There's over 7 billion people in the world. Do we think that one answer is the same for everybody? No. Christina Polschik writes, I tolerate monk fruit best. Beware, it's 100% carbohydrate. So 5 grams of monk fruit is 5 grams of carbohydrate. Just be careful, just measure. I've been pushing the peckishness longer and longer, now eating just once a day, writes Debbie Doctor. Kathy Smith writes, hey, Casey, I'm from Southwest Virginia. Love listening to you. I did the keto and lost 60 pounds. I got off and gained back 47. Now I'm back on keto and down 15. You inspired me. Congratulations. The question is asked. Okay, I'm essentially where I'm happy with what I weigh. Words I thought I would say never. I would like to lose 2.6 more pounds so I can say I've lost 100 pounds. And some of you might look at me and say, well, you could stand to lose a couple, but I'm happy with where I am. So people say, well, now will you just start incorporating carbs back? No, because then I would put on weight. It's like if I have a severe peanut allergy and I get that all under control and I don't break out and I don't have to use an EpiPen and all that. Okay, you've been this way for now 5 years. Now, can you just going to reintroduce peanuts? No. By the way, peanuts are not on page 4. They're not even nuts. And nuts are not on page 4. You do you, writes Michelle. Jim Fannin, xylitol is very bad for, yes, we don't feed xylitol to our dogs. I don't use any now. Thank you. I have xylitol in my cupboard because I tried it. And it was the only thing, it actually, I started losing my ketones with it. But it's way up in the cupboard and Jack can't reach. I'll probably just chuck it out. Michelle writes, congrats for getting back on the horse. Heather writes, peanuts and peanut oil is very inflammatory. Yeah, they're carbs. They're legumes. They are not nuts. New Mexico nurse, hey, I'm afraid to try artificial sweeteners. I might want sugar again, maybe when I have lost the weight I want to lose. And it does not trigger cravings in me nor in my husband. So it's okay for us. My husband never needed to lose weight. He's been very nearly perfect our entire marriage, except for he gets wacky sometimes. And sometimes I want to poke him in the forehead with a fork. Hello from Ohio, your channel, Casey, Sparkly Susan. Stacy E writes, I just started 5 days ago and go for my blood work in December. Should I expect my triglycerides and cholesterol to be higher since I'm a meat lover? It's not so much because of the meat. It's because, yes, you can probably expect that the triglycerides will be higher. And the overall cholesterol number is not so important. But the triglycerides may be higher because if you are burning fat for fuel, you're in ketosis, you're burning fat for fuel. So fat cells are being mobilized for fuel. There's more than just fat in those cells. There are hormones. There is triglyceride. So what might happen is your serum cholesterol may go up for a bit, but it'll come back down. Just stick with the program. If your doctor freaks out, pat her or him on the head and say, don't worry. If you're really concerned, write yourself a prescription for Valium. Hello from Portugal. Hola. Lacinda Householder, a patron. Hi, finally caught you live. Jasleen, I'm going to get the grocery for keto diet right now. I purchased it yesterday. I was browsing whether it works or not, and I found you. I don't know what that is. Grocery for keto diet? I don't know what that means. But it's really just fatty sources of protein, full fat dairy, if you can tolerate it, if you like it, limited. If you want to eat vegetables, they are limited to 1 cup a day about of non-starchy vegetables before cooking and about 2 cups a day of leafy greens before cooking maximum. There is no minimum requirement for vegetables or leafy greens. Hello from Massachusetts. My husband and I were married in, and our first 2 children were born in Massachusetts. Our first apartment was in the north end of Boston. We ended up in Lynn. We moved in once, and then we bought a house in Lynn, a 2.5 family house. Then we moved down to North Carolina, where I. Thank you very much, guys. I am going to go ahead and wrap this up. I've got some things to do, but we have got to get healthy. It's Lynn, the city of sin. Yes. Even if COVID wasn't lurking, the world is getting ready to be hit with a tsunami of type 2 diabetes, which is a very serious condition and preventable and curable. Lay off the carbs. If you are taking insulin for type 2 diabetes, you must and you're going to reduce your carbohydrate intake, you must do this under a doctor's supervision because your blood sugar can go too low. Hypoglycemia, which is not good either. Thank you, guys. I'll link to the calendar because when they're gone, they're gone. And some people seem to enjoy them. Take it easy. Be sweet. Wash your hands. Cover your face. Give people a little distance. Lay off the carbs. Don't eat if you're not hungry. Be kind to yourself. Be firm with yourself and be honest with yourself. And I'll see you next time. Bye.